A very warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you join us again on Almond Finance and Wealth Reports this week. As you know, we are your source for latest happening information in the financial sector of the nation's economy. My name is Faith Wade. Compliments of the season to you once more. On this edition of the program, we'll kick off by bringing you the continuation of our exclusive interview with Mr. Henry Olujimi Boyo, a renowned economist and analyst. Together, we'll be looking at the current state of the Nigerian economy.
What answer will you give to supporting a system that promotes cost of funds at 25-26% to the real sector and claps for itself as being good performance?
On this edition also, we bring you highlights of Portfolio Management Institute of Nigeria first annual national conference that took place recently at the Sheraton Hotel and Resort Ikeja here in Lagos. The theme was Strategic Portfolio Management in Enhancing Economic Development. The Institute of Portfolio Management of Nigeria is the apex body overseeing the activities of portfolio management practice in Nigeria.
A growing economy requires a constant flow of funds for investments in order to assure a supply of capital goods adequate for production of consumer goods and replacement of obsolete equipment.
We also bring you our short and sharp segment. I urge you as always to sit back, relax and spend this time with us, but all the details are coming to you after this break. Please stay with us.
I don't think the election year is the problem. The problem is certainly much more fundamental than just an election year. But wherever you search for the problem, you cannot search for the solution outside the parameters or outside the areas of monetary and fiscal policy, because that's all you really have to run a government, apart from having resources and things like that. You know, if your monetary and fiscal policies are defective, you will have a defective government. You'll also have a pauperized people, or deformed people, as the case may be. So the fiscal policy we have agreed is neither here nor there, because there's no direction, there's nothing. Even if they say they are going to increase capital expenditure to 40% as opposed to 15% last year or something like that, it will still be no big deal. Why? Because you'll find that by the time the ravages of inflation set in, 10% of that value will be lost to inflation. And then you'll find that even at the best of times, let's assume that things are done in a military fashion and implementation is rigorously pursued, you will still find that something would happen as a result of inflation to make that budget unworkable. Because if inflation has taken away 10%, although you might say, the prices are not reflected in maybe built-in items, or, you know, but that's just speculation. Suppose it is, then you now have to find that your budget is not achievable because the amount you budgeted was not enough because inflation has. So, by the same token, also, a lot of people expect that. They say, government create jobs, you know, as if the government has a magic wand of some sort. Governments don't create jobs. Governments create the enabling environment that allow jobs to be created. And by that I mean that those things that would normally drive job creation must be related to positive variables. In other words, nobody who wants to create jobs as an industrialist would be enthusiastic to open up his industry or expand his business if he has to borrow at 25% annually. Okay? So that already works against an entrepreneur. trying to create new jobs. So if those kind of parameters that would encourage one to want to participate and see an opportunity, in any case, the opportunities would not be there if people don't have the money to spend. If inflation has been eating all our income, such that the pensioner who could buy 10 loaves of bread a month before can only buy one, obviously there won't be as many bakeries as there were before. And if that is the case, then of course more people will be thrown into the job market as a result. But a baker would be happy to even buy more machines and ovens and things like that, and employ more people if it is possible that every bread he puts on the shelf is taken up because people have money to buy. But if inflation is taking the thing little by little, that's why I say it's a silent plague. You might decide, I used to eat 10 loaves of bread a month. Okay, I cut it to 9. Then it becomes 8. Then it becomes 7. Then you can't eat bread alone. Then you start hiding when your neighbors are coming that you are drinking garri in the morning. That type of thing. And these are the realities. But people will say, now one grandmama for village. Nah, lie. These are realities in every economy, and we are not different. So the issues of interest rate, inflation are very important, but unfortunately, a lot of Nigerians don't give much recognition to the importance of inflation and exchange rate. In fact, inflation is so important that the central bank itself was made autonomous in order to be able to modulate the rate of inflation and keep it at best practice levels of 1 or 2%. I always say that it doesn't make much sense appointing central bank governors without giving them mandates. Okay, I don't just mean the mandate of autonomy. I mean the mandate for performance. In other words, any central bank governor who is unable to bring inflation, for example, down to best practice levels below 2%, at worst 3%, within 6 months, within a 6-month period, should resign. Any central bank governor
should resign or should be made to resign.
Should resign. I mean, it should resign. I mean, it should be in the articles of performance that if inflation rises above 3% for 2 consecutive quarters or whatever, the central bank governor must resign, because then it means they are incapable of. I've told you the importance of inflation, why it's necessary. In those countries where we most Nigerians yearn to go and spend time, inflation is 1% or 2%. By the time it gets to 2%, the government will lose power and another government will come in. But we celebrate inflation rates of 8, 9, 10% here and say, well, it's only 8, 9%. There are other countries where it's 15%. I mean, it's as if to say, I only have HIV. The one that has cancer is, so why are you worrying me? That kind of thing. But in reality, you cannot avoid taking very seriously the monetary indices, which unfortunately our people in this country have never done. So long as we continue to have monetary indices which are totally out of sync with what happens elsewhere. That's why I say the central bank governor, if he cannot bring lending rates also to maybe 5 or 6%, in other words, bring its monetary policy control rate to about 1 or 2%, which is what happens. You cannot say, we want to be a world power. I want to be able to fly like an eagle. And you still compare your performance with the performance of a duck, for example, and you're saying, I'm going to become an eagle. You must be benchmarking your performance against how fast the eagle can fly and things like that. I'm moving, not even stay in one position, not keep retrogressing all the time and say, I am going to be an eagle. I mean, that's just wishful thinking. So that's why I say that a central bank governor that cannot maintain inflation below 2% or something, it should be mandated to resign. A new person should come in. A central bank governor who cannot bring lending rates to middle single digit should also resign, because then it would be, how would I say it, deceptive to keep making people believe that the economy would improve in truth. We are offering your real sector 25%. Meanwhile, the same government that wants development is still competing with the real sector for the funds in the market, because the government, and this is not something new, this is something they have been doing for maybe 20, 30 years or something like that, and that is what is killing us. Where a government consciously puts money in the hands of the banks and then goes back to borrow the money back. And this is not to do with the TSA now, because we have been informed by the Bankers Committee, the chairman of Bankers Committee, sometime ago, about a month or so ago, said, look, people thought that the TSA was going to take money out of the banking system and make things difficult for us and take away liquidity. But that the reduction of the cash reserve ratio from 33% or so to 25%, or the uniform reduction to 25% or so, liberated almost £1 trillion of excess liquidity into their pockets. And soon after the £1 trillion was liberated into the hands of the banks, what happened? The central bank said, look, there's so much money in the market, let us mop it up. And they were prepared to borrow the same money that's supposed to be surplus, that's supposed to be used for industry, industrial growth and development, and borrow back and store that money as idle funds because they're afraid of
why
inflation.
Why keep going around this vicious cycle?
It's a good question. I think you should ask Mr. President. No, seriously, I mean this. I mean it with all sincerity. You should ask Mr. President and the finance minister and the central bank governor. I don't think they will be able to give you sensible answers, quite honestly, because what answer will you give to supporting a system that promotes cost of funds at 25-26% to the real sector and claps for itself as being good performance? How can you reconcile a situation where money is continuously in surplus in this country for about over 30 years? And where do you find anything that is surplus becoming expensive? Have you ever gone into the market and found that the day that tomatoes is plenty in the market, that's when it becomes more expensive? It doesn't work that way. The day tomatoes plenty for market, now that day it go cheap. You know, in our case, we have money which the central bank undeniably says for over 20 years now they've been repeating, and Nigerians are saying, oh, they know what they are doing. They don't know what they are doing. You know, they keep telling you there's surplus money in the system, and as the money becomes more surplus, the cost of borrowing becomes higher. Something should tell you that something is amiss there. So, in reality, anybody who believes that the Nigerian economy will become positively transformed when inflation is 9%, going to 10%, or when cost of funds is 20-something% to the real sector, or when government continues to willingly, unforced, borrow money it does not need. It tells you, I don't need this money, this is excess money, and yet they borrow it. At the same time, they say, there's not enough money in the system. So they come and say, agriculture, let's put them 200 billion. Let's get textiles, let's give them another. And at the same time, you are pushing all these funds into the system at a time that you yourself, the central bank, recognize that there's excess money in the system. So we are being ruled by, or we are being governed by ignorance. Because it must be ignorance or self-interest. It's either one of them. Because you cannot say that it is not obvious that no country can grow with 20-something% cost of funds. You cannot say that it is speculation to say that no, there's no basis for growth, economic growth, consumer demand expansion, and increased employment, so long as inflation is at 9 or 10% and yet remains unarrested. So you cannot also grow in a situation where within the framework of your monetary policies, you accommodate a structure that includes sometimes over 20% of the total expenditure on something called subsidy, which needn't be there. I'm not saying yank it off. I'm saying subsidy will be eliminated easily if you adopted the right monetary policies. And the right monetary policies would have primarily this very significant effect. It would make the Naira stronger, even when the crude oil is selling at $40-something dollars per barrel instead of $100-something dollars per barrel. When the Naira becomes, you see, the issue of price stability of fuel is primarily dependent on the exchange rate. Let me repeat this. You know, what I'm saying is that it would be difficult for you to eliminate the payment of subsidy if you do not increase the strength of the Naira. It's as simple as that.
So how are we going to get out of this?
Very simple. The same way you go into the market and you find that the day you have plenty of tomatoes in the market, the price of tomato would fall. The day you don't have plenty of tomato in the market, the price of tomato would go up. So the same thing. If you go into the market, the money market in this particular instance, the day you have plenty of Naira chasing dollar, the Naira rate would fall. The next day, if you have more dollars chasing naira, the dollar rate would fall. So a situation where you continuously have excess naira liquidity in the market, confronting, you know what they call rations? Rations are supposed to be small, auctions of rations of dollars by the same central bank that produces the naira. You will find that the moment you can juxtapose the market imbalance, in other words, create more, put more dollars in the market compared to less naira, you'll suddenly find that the naira rate will improve. And if the naira rate improves, you don't have to be talking of subsidy. For example, if I can use this example, if the naira becomes 100 naira to $1 today, the price of petrol would fall to about 50 or 60 naira per liter.
Without the insurance brokers, it would be hard for many insurance businesses to be consolidated. This is why I believe that improvements in the image of the industry must start from those who are in the places of this world. In a nutshell, I believe we can improve the image of the industry by emphasizing quality and by insisting on global best practices in our approach to the insurance business.
All right, welcome back. Up ahead, we'll bring you highlights of Portfolio Management Institute of Nigeria first annual national conference that took place recently at the Sheraton Hotel and Resort Ikeja here in Lagos. The theme was Strategic Portfolio Management in Enhancing Economic Development. Welcoming members and guests to the conference, the President and Chairman of Council of the Institute, Dr. Isaac Olushola Dada, MFR, said that portfolio managers play critical roles in the economy as they help individuals make meaningful investment decisions.
The Portfolio Management Institute of Nigeria is the apex professional body for the monitoring and supervision of portfolio management practice in Nigeria. The main objective of the Institute is to create a platform for the constructive discussion and examination of current and future trends in portfolio management practice, which in turn would contribute to the growth and development of the economy. The Institute recently held its first annual national conference at the Sheraton Hotel and Resort, Ikeja. The theme was Strategic Portfolio Management in Enhancing Economic Development. Welcoming members and guests to the conference, the President and Chairman of Council of the Institute of Portfolio Management of Nigeria, Chief Dr. Isaac Olushola Dada, MFR, said that portfolio management presents the best investment plan to the individuals as per their income, budgets, age, and ability to undertake risks.
Portfolio management refers to the refers to managing resources of an individual under the expert guidance of portfolio managers. In a layman's language, the art of managing an individual's investment is portfolio management. Portfolio management presents the best investment plan to the individuals as per their income, budgets, age, and ability to undertake risks. Portfolio management minimizes the risks involved in investing and increases the chance of making profits. Portfolio managers understand the client's financial needs and suggest the best and unique investment option for them with minimum risk involved.
The national conference will continue to be the flagship event that, amongst other reasons, brings all portfolio management professional practitioners together to network and discuss national issues of interest that affects the Nigerian economy. In his goodwill message, the guest of honor, Dr. Suleiman Abdul Ndanusa, CON, who was represented by Mr. Babatunde Belewura, stated that the caliber of people on the council speaks and captures the seriousness and long-term goals and aspirations of the institute.
The caliber of the council members of this institute speaks early for itself and no doubt captures the seriousness of the goals and long-term aspirations of the founders of the institute. I want to wish you a successful and productive deliberations at this annual conference. I wish you well as you enter into the serious business of the conference.
Other speakers were Mr. Wole Adedoyin, Professor Mba, Ms. Bode Adebayo, Dr. Oyefeso Adebayo, and a host of others. Portfolio managers are generally risk takers for their customers as they constantly look for ways to diversify investments. Sharing his thoughts on mitigation of risk, Mr. Ebeyong Efyong, who represented the guest speaker, Mr. Munigwazo, DG SEC, said that portfolio managers must have robust risk management framework at all times.
We look at the issue of the risk management, building up the portfolio. Then also the enterprise risk management of your firm itself. That's what I think the prof was talking about when he came on the one that presented Mr. Lee. This is what you're talking about. As a firm, what kind of risk management structure do you have? Do you have robust corporate governance? Do you have risk management processes within your system? How robust is your compliance processes? Because you have to have this in place for you to be able to achieve your business objective and to align it with also the client's investment objective. And say, look, listen, this is the kind of processes we are going to go through. We're not going to go take any undue risk. We want to ensure this is our business objective as a firm. We want to ensure that we align it with the interest and protection of our client. So maybe a client comes and says, okay, look, put my money in forest. We say, no, we don't do that. We align our processes and focus and policies as a company in terms of this is what kind of business we do. Because we want to ensure that, first of all, clients' interests are protected, I get my point, and market confidence. Now, I'm going to go from there to now the aspect of the role of the regulator. If you remember, like I said, I didn't talk too much about efficient market theory. We talked about the efficient frontier and the issue of the systematic risk.
Portfolio management enables portfolio managers to provide customized investment solutions to clients' financial needs with minimal risks. The Institute of Portfolio Management is a duly registered corporate body with the Corporate Affairs Commission, backed by guarantee. The chartered bill of the Institute is in the National Assembly, and the Council is leaving no stone unturned to ensure that the Institute's Charter Status Bill is signed into law.
All right, that's the time on this edition of the program. I do hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I always say here, for comments, questions, observations, do feel free to get in touch with us on 017763981 or 08033357879, or better still, send us an email, almond4xx@yahoo.com or almondproduction@gmail.com. You can also visit us on our website, almondreports.com. Like us on our Facebook page, Almond Finance and Wealth Report, and view past episodes of this program on our YouTube channel, Almond Reports TV. Join us every Wednesday by 9:45 a.m. live on Nigeria FM 102.7 for our Pidgin English program called Waiting Insurance They Do Save. Don't forget, you can also connect with us on WhatsApp via our number 08033357879. The Yuletide season is here again. There's so much excitement in the air, but I'd like to advise that whatever you do this season, do take care of yourself and do be careful, especially when you're driving. If you must drive, don't drink. If you must drink and drive, make sure it's water. My name is Faith Ugwode. Until same time, same station next week, where we'll come your way with a fresh package of this program from all of us here. It's goodbye.